Welcome back to the Boneyard podcast, everybody. This is your host, Jared Sheffin, along with my good friend,
Artemis Broward.
We're coming to you this week with episode 241.
241.
241. Artemis.
Yes, sir.
How are we doing, my friend?
We're good, man. We're good. Life is lifing. Work is going well. Life is good. Cannot complain. I'll see you this weekend on Saturday for something somewhat important. I would say somewhat important. But life is good, man. I cannot complain. What about you?
It's good, man. We talked about it a lot last week. I feel like turned 30 this past weekend. Before we came on, I was talking about the debauchery that my family or really that I got into. My family was just there to witness. Let's just say I had a downtown Greenville type of Friday night.
Yeah, you did.
Like, I haven't. I'm getting old, man. I'm 30 now. Those hangovers don't end at 11 a.m. anymore.
No, they don't. Now you got to be careful when you go out and drink nowadays. Every now and then you got to have a little bit of a rager, right? We're not over the hill yet. You know, we can still go out and have a little bit of a rager, but you got to be careful. You can't mix like we used to mix anymore. You can't experiment like you used to experiment no more. Like you kind of got to stick with what you know. And then you got to make sure you're getting some water in too, because that hangover the next day is going to last at least 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
On my actual birthday, I was able to choke down one beer on the beach and like 5 waters, and then I was feeling a little bit better.
Yeah,
but man, it was rough. It was a rough first half of the birthday. I was just like, man, I feel like I'm gonna die. But yeah, all in all, pretty great. We're doing good. First episode where we're both in our 30s.
Mm-hmm.
And then Artie, we talked about it last week. Don't let the Pirates get hot, and man, they are hot as all get out.
Didn't see that one coming. Did not see that. They're making me eat crow. Absolutely, they're making me eat it because I didn't see that one coming at all.
Yeah, I mean, as the most pessimistic East Carolina fan,
I say this every episode.
somebody that said, you know what, I could see them making a run. I just want to see them make a run, and I'll be happy. They made a run. Oh boy, did they make a run? We'll get into it here in a minute, Artie. But before we do that, episode 241. Do you have a number 41?
I do have a number 41. I'm going into the vault. I'm trying to do my due diligence and go into the vault when I do these things. I'm going baseball. I'm going MLB. One of the great pitchers in the game. I'm going number 41, Tom Seaver. That is my 41 for the week. MLB Hall of Famer, multiple time All-Star, played for the Reds, and then also played. My notes went blank on me. There we go. Reds and the Mets. Made his career with the New York Mets Hall of Fame. 3-time NL Cy Young winner, NL Rookie of the Year, 3-time NL wins leader, 3-time NL ERA leader, 5-time strikeout leader, 12-time All-Star, World Series champion with the Mets. So one of the greats, obviously Hall of Fame with the Mets and the Reds. So my 41 for the week is none other than Mr. Seaver.
That's a good one. Artie, one of my favorite stats in all of baseball, and this changed recently, but really it's all professional sports here in the United States. The only team to ever win a championship in 3 different cities is none other than your Atlanta Braves or my Atlanta Braves. Did you know that? They're the only team to win 3 championships, at least 3 championships in 3 different cities. One in Boston, one in Milwaukee, and have won one in Atlanta.
Okay.
There's few people that have the ability to have said, and I believe there's only one person that can say this, that have played for in all three cities for the Braves. So started out their career in Boston, played a majority of their career in Milwaukee, and then finished their Braves career with the Atlanta Braves that first year in Atlanta. And that's none other than Hall of Famer, 12-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champion, Eddie Matthews. Number 41. That's my 41 this week. Eddie Matthews. All-time great.
That's a wild stat when you think about it. He only played for one franchise. But
no, he played for more franchises, but he played
for more franchises. Okay.
So he didn't retire a Brave.
Okay.
Unfortunately, he retired as part of the Detroit Tigers organization. Played 17 years in the big leagues. And I mean, played basically from the time that he was 20 to the time he was 36. And those first 15 years, 16 years of his career were with the Braves. And the Braves organization.
His whole career was with the Braves. He had to get, one of those last hurrahs like a Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers. But technically with one franchise.
Yeah. I mean, 17-year career, just an absolute unit. I mean, when you look at some of his numbers, I mean, just overall, had 2 years where he led the league in home runs, hit 512 home runs. Right? Like, I mean, dude's just there's a reason the number 41 is retired in Atlanta, and that's because of Eddie Matthews.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, I'm not going to say like started, maybe isn't the right, but was the first true like third baseman. There's a long line of Braves third basemen that are in the Hall of Fame or should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, you look at that. That's kind of like what the Braves are known for is having these like elite third basemen: Eddie Matthews, Dale Murphy, Terry Pendleton, Chipper Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, Austin Riley has become that. He's not at the same level yet as those guys, but if he goes on to continue to have a great career in Atlanta, he's going to be there. But yeah, 41, Eddie Matthews.
Love it. Good stuff. Two baseball guys, two old school baseball guys.
Look at us. Look at us. All right. We kind of buried the lead a little bit. I guess we did the reverse. What's the reverse of burying the lead? I don't know. East Carolina is once again the American Athletic Conference tournament champions.
Yeah.
Look, even when we are down, we still run this bitch. We do. You can't keep us down. You can't keep us down. East Carolina runs the gauntlet, sweeps the American Athletic Conference tournament, beating South Florida twice, beating Charlotte once, and then taking it all from Tulane. The 6 and 5 seeds were the teams playing in the conference championship game.
Yep. And
the conference championship game, I'll just say, it wasn't the most for us. It was very exciting, but it wasn't the most exciting game. ECU absolutely dismantled and blew out Tulane, jumped out to an 8-0 lead early, and held on to win 8-2. But we'll get to that in a minute. Just already, all in all, everybody did their job. We always talk about do your job.
Good job.
And ECU did that, right? Um, from a offensive perspective, from a defensive perspective, or from a pitching perspective, all in all, everybody came in and they did their job. There's really only one game that was close, and it was that ECU Charlotte game. That was really the only one that was close. Now that semifinal game against South Florida, where South Florida jumped out to a 4-0 lead, I was like, oh no, is this going to be it? Like, are we going to have to play them again later tonight? And is that going to be it? But no, even though they fell behind 4-0 early in that semifinal game, they were able to come back, right? And I mean, you got the hits when you needed to, something that hasn't really happened most of the season, right? You got timely hitting, you got serviceable pitching for the most part, and you rode the backs of guys like Ethan Norby and Braden Burris and I mean Riley Johnson. I mean that man deserves a statue.
Start the process.
They're just gonna put a statue out there of him with like both of his arms, and I guess I think now one of his legs, like just off. He's just gonna have one leg on the statue.
Yeah,
that man is given. We talk about people giving their all. That man has given everything he has to East Carolina University. When we talk about the definition of a true pirate, if you look that definition up, the picture you're going to see is Riley Johnson. No regard for life and limb. Does what it takes to win a ball game.
It's a dog, right? You need people with dog mentality. You got to have some dogs on the squad. As long as you got some dogs on the squad, some real leaders, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay.
Now, Artie, we said last week, like, we just want to run. Like, we want them to get the feeling of winning, right? Like, what does it feel like to win? And this team did it. This team with 31 newcomers, I believe that's the number, won the whole damn conference. If that doesn't, like, look, we'll get to the regional here in a little bit. But if that doesn't give you excitement for the future of East Carolina baseball, you need to check your pulse. I'm amped up.
And it was never about the talent, right? It was never the talent. It was always the youth, the inexperience, the leadership qualities. Like, we've already done the hard part of going through the gauntlet of an up and down season, losing a lot of games, understanding what it's like to lose series that maybe you shouldn't lose. We've done the hard part. So now I think they've kind of grown up in front of our eyes a little bit sooner than expected. Because I didn't think they would do that in this tournament and win the conference. But they did that, and now you see, like, I really feel like they, not saying that they were going on to win some College World Series, but they've matched the youth now with, okay, they got experience, they know what it feels like to go through this kind of a gauntlet, they know what it feels like to lose, they know what it feels like to have to go through some adversity, to kind of go on that run, absolutely incredible. I mean, as ECU fans, we are extremely spoiled as a baseball program. Kind of like a Georgia football or Alabama football, like a bad year in which the sky is falling, we still win a conference and make a regional, in which we didn't think we were going to be sitting here talking about going to a regional. So maybe shouldn't put it in the Georgia Alabama perspective.
I was about to say
we haven't won a championship yet, but
that analogy is wild.
We haven't won a championship, so maybe shouldn't set it that high. But what I will say is, like, we're still spoiled, right? Like, to be able to say this was a bad season, which it was by all accounts, and still be able to make a regional and win a conference, speaks to what Cliff Godwin has built, which no other program at ECU can say that.
And Cliff Godwin is now the winningest coach in East Carolina baseball history, passing Gary Overton with their win over Charlotte. I believe that was win 428. Now he's up to 430 wins, and is continuing to build on this legacy that he's setting here at East Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So all props to that man. And we talked about last week, right? Like there's some lineup decisions this year that were questionable. But then this past week changed the lineup a little bit, switched some things around on the infield, and look what happens. Things come together. And I know the kind of talking point, I believe I saw a clip of Igo or maybe it was from Hoist the Colors, an article, blog, written, and it makes so much sense. Like for the first time in such a long time, the pressure is off East Carolina. Everybody knew coming into the season that it wasn't going to be our best year. Right? And look, I just watched my Carolina Hurricanes be unceremoniously kicked out of the NHL playoffs last night.
I saw that. Yeah.
By the Florida Panthers. God, I want to beat the Gators so bad just to avenge that loss to a Florida team there. But much like them, this was a retool year for the Hurricanes. It's been a retool year for the Pirates. And nobody expected them to be where they're at this point in the season. And now they're here. And I don't care what anybody says. You see it every once in a while. We saw it last year with Evansville in the Greenville regional. I was messaging with our guest that's going to come on here in a couple minutes earlier and talking about South Florida did it in a Gainesville regional. Now, we're not the 4 seed, but it happens. A 3 seed can string a couple games together and make a run to a super regional, and then all you got to do is win 2. The pressure is off. The outcry, if this team doesn't go to Omaha, yes, we all want to get there. We need to break this curse eventually, and it's going to happen. Just like the Hurricanes broke their curse of it was 15 straight games.
How many straight Eastern Conference Final games that they lost?
15.
I didn't even know that. I didn't know that. When I heard that yesterday, I was like, "Wow, that's crazy."
It was a rough
19
years.
A lot of sweeps in there.
But hey, you got to get there. You got to get there. All I'm saying. Break the curse. Pressure is off. Go out there and play ball.
I see what you're saying as it pertains to this team, because in years past, ECU has had that pressure, right? Like we've been good all year. We won the tournament. Now it's like there's an expectation of, okay, this is a nationally ranked team. We expect them to kick in the door and actually get there. This team was not expected to be here, right? In this moment. So I definitely agree with you on the pressure is off. But now that you're here, make something of it. I mean, don't just be satisfied with being here.
Right.
Make something of it now.
And Cliff Godwin loves to talk about the rat poison. Right? Don't eat the rat poison.
Yeah.
Right? Don't listen to what the media telling you that you're good. It's hard to do that. It's hard to tell or hard to not listen to people giving you your flowers for being a top 15 team in the country. Right? Now everybody's like, nobody's talking about East Carolina. Nobody's thinking about East Carolina. This weekend, they're talking about Florida, and they're talking about Coastal Carolina. East Carolina is just that school that, hey, they snuck in. They put together a good week of baseball. We don't expect much of them. But keep sleeping. Just keep sleeping. Let them stay quiet.
We're right where we
Striking the
want
night.
right where we want to be. No publicity is good publicity at this point. Don't talk about it. Don't say nothing. We don't want to be in no headlines. None of that.
Show up and do your job.
Show up and do your job. Exactly.
Yeah, I think I'm not gonna say this team's gonna win a regional. Winning a regional, it's tough, right? We saw it last year. We've seen it before, and then once you get there, winning the super regional, from an ECU perspective, it's like, okay, you got to win 2 out of 3 games. Winning a super is even tougher, right? Because you're battling for your lives. Don't let this team continue to get even hotter. Don't let it happen. Don't let it happen. I don't know. Artie, I'm pumped for East Carolina baseball this weekend. Hey, we got at least 2 more games to watch our boys.
Right. I'm just happy that the season is still going. Right. I thought we were going to come on this episode and be talking about something else, moving to spring football, moving to
Yeah, I thought for sure we would be starting our football preview this episode.
So,
When we recorded last week, I thought, okay, well next week. I was already planning like what's our content around football going to be.
Exactly, it's going to be a football heavy episode, right? And so I'm happy that it's not. I'm happy that baseball is still playing.
Football can wait.
Absolutely, we have plenty of time.
Gosh, I don't know. 12 o'clock tomorrow, Artie. East Carolina takes the field. I don't know. I'll say like I want to go back to the pressure thing real quick. The in the past when ECU has been that number 1 seed or the 2 seed in the American Conference tournament, even then you feel the pressure. Even as a fan, you feel the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, we need to win because we're trying to host a regional. Maybe we're trying to hop into one of those top 2 seeds or top 8 seeds. I don't know why I said top 2. We're trying to hop into like that top 8 national, so that way maybe we can secure a super if we win the regional.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel any of that pressure as a fan this weekend. I just sat there and I enjoyed watching and listening to the East Carolina baseball game.
And is how we want to, though, right? Because these weren't like a bunch of barn burners that we had to just scrape out of our ass. Like we definitively won these games, right? Outside of that one that we had, with South Florida, but still, like we won these games. Like they were definitive wins in which we played excellent baseball. So it was complete domination throughout the tournament, and that's what made you the most happy.
Yeah, it was a good feeling. I guess that would have been Sunday, sitting on the beach and being able to shotgun a beer when the boys won it. What you got, Josh? You're on mute. Rookie mistake. This guy takes a week off and can't figure it out.
It's all right. Crazy things always happen in these patterns. So I'm gonna say something. It could be ECU's year because the Lenore Ryan Bears of Hickory, North Carolina, are going to their first Omaha, but it's actually in Cary, of the Division II College World Series. And I mean, another North Carolina team can do the same thing in ECU, come out of nowhere, go to the College World Series, just because everything's connected, guys. Everything's connected.
You can't ride the road to Omaha if you don't even get in.
Exactly.
and we're in for a wild ride this weekend, and hopefully next.
I do agree with Josh because I do have that feeling that when ECU finally does break,
I said it.
and you
I
said
said it
this,
at the beginning of the year.
it's going to be a team that we're like, how the hell did this team get to Omaha? Like this is the team we thought was going to get to Omaha, but hey, we'll take it. Like it's going to be one of those ECU squads where it was up and down. We probably still win the conference. We'll probably still be a good team, but it's like this is the ECU squad that made it to Omaha. Okay, it's probably going to be one of those.
If that's the case, I'm going to be so happy for this team. But honestly, I'd honestly feel bad for all those teams that came before it.
Yeah.
But like I said, I saw, going back to if you follow me personally on Twitter at Jared_Chaffet, hit that follow button. Quick little plug. If you follow me, you know that I talk a lot about East. I hit on ChatGPT. I was like looking myself up. What is Jared Chaffet on? Like, tell me about this guy. And it said crazed East Carolina fan and Carolina Hurricanes fan. And
also a real jackass.
In there, I talk a lot of shit. I troll. I'll troll from time to time. I get my licks in. And somebody, a Rangers fan earlier in the playoffs was talking about how they hated Carolina and how they hated the Hurricanes and wanted them out. And how they didn't play. And I said, I just sent them the line. How are you going to hate from outside the club? You can't even get in. Got to be in.
At least be invited. If you're going to be a hater, at least be invited to the party.
You got to be. We're in the driver's seat right now. All you got to do is all gas, no brakes, straight to Omaha. Artie, we've talked a lot about East Carolina. Their first game's tomorrow in the Conway Regional down there, Conway, South Carolina. Myrtle Beach. You know the rest. If you're a true fan, you know the rest of that song. ECU takes on the Florida Gators tomorrow noon, ESPN2. And we're going to bring in our guest. Josh, go ahead and bring him in. We got Adrian Perez coming in from the Gator Diamond Pod. Adrian, welcome to the Boneyard Podcast, my friend. How's it going?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me, man. Talk a little baseball. It's not too bad.
Oh, yeah.
100%. Yeah, man. I thank you for joining on fairly short notice. I know I was talking with your co-host. His schedule didn't work out, but hey, I'm glad we got you. Tell us a little bit about what, just kind of high level overview. What should East Carolina fans expect to see from this Florida Gator baseball team? A team that's had kind of, at least in conference play, a tale of two seasons. Started off pretty slow and then absolutely ran through the last half of conference play.
Yeah.
And then didn't make it as far as I'm guessing they would have liked to in the SEC tournament. But tell us kind of what's going on with this team.
It's been the tale of two seasons, kind of. The first half of the season just been full of injuries. And there's a misconception. I've been listening to some guys on ESPN and some of the D1 podcast guys and stuff like that. And there's a little bit of a misconception that some of these injured guys have come back. And really none of them have come back except for Coppola, who's on a pitch count. So, but the first part of the season in which all these injuries happened at the same time within a span of about 3 to 4 games. Sully says that was the biggest impact, was that in those 3 or 4 games, like right before the first week of SEC play, we lost basically our leadoff hitter, center fielder, our number 2 hitter, pre all SEC second baseman, and then we lost our number 1 left-handed reliever out of the bullpen. We lost Coppola, who was our Saturday starter, all within a span of about 2 to 3 games. Sully said it probably took them about at least 2, 3, 4 weeks just to figure things out from there. What some of the new roles were going to be after the impact of losing all of these guys. Also, and once they figured that out, the injuries kept coming. Like, for instance, right now, they ended up still losing 4 more arms in the bullpen, all of them lefties. So Florida has no lefties in the bullpen. The only lefty on staff right now is Coppola, who's on a pitch count, and he'll probably pitch the 3rd game, if there is hopefully a 3rd game, right? So he'll probably be the Sunday starter. Hopefully the Sunday starter, right? Because it could be, well, does the loser go to the losers bracket on Saturday? Yeah. So hopefully it's just the Sunday starter. But the 3 bullpen lefties are all probably out for the season. Hasn't been announced officially. So if you guys have a lefty hitter, don't be scared like in the late innings, a lefty specialist coming in to take care of the lefty hitter. That ain't going to happen. There's no lefties in our bullpen. And then since then, Florida has suffered 2 massive injuries. One was a season-ending broken hand to Luke Heyman, who was probably having, I would have to say, a second-team all-SEC catcher type of season, because the first team is going to probably go to Ike Irish, the catcher from Auburn, which hopefully one of us will be seeing here next week, right? Because they're probably favored to win their regional over there in Auburn. But Luke Heyman has been having a massive year. He's been hitting over 300 in SEC play, double-digit home runs just in SEC play. And he got hit in the hand and broke his hand, I think about 3 weeks ago. And then the week prior to that, Kobe Shelton, starting shortstop, also broke his hamate bone against Arkansas. Now, Luke out for the season. Correction, it wasn't a broken hand. It was a broken forearm. It was a hit by pitch in his forearm, and he broke his forearm. So he's out for the year for sure. And then Kobe Shelton broke his hamate bone the week prior against Arkansas. They said he was coming back in 3 weeks, right in time for postseason play. I was skeptical. I know a lot of folks who've had broken hamate bones, and I've never heard of them coming back in 3 weeks. And even if you do come back in 3 weeks, it's a different story, right? Coming back in 3 weeks, having the cast taken off. But then it's a different story grabbing a bat and trying to hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball coming in on you. That's quite a different story there. And lo and behold, it was reported today by our beat writers that in today's practice, he doesn't have a cast, but he didn't take any BP, and it's his right hand, and he didn't take any infield throwing the ball. So he's not going to play this weekend. Hasn't been officially announced, but he's not going to play. So all these injuries have kind of just been with the team the entire season. But Sully kind of has said that that's kind of played a weird role. Once they've figured out that they're going to have all these injuries, he said it's pretty easy for him to make a lineup, because really they have only one guy on the bench. And they actually played a game a couple weeks ago in which Justin Nadeau, the starting second baseman, was a late scratch in the Saturday game. And they had nobody left on the bench because of that. The one bench player came into the game, was put into the lineup, and if there was any type of injury during that ball game, more than likely they were going to have to go to a pitcher to play one of the positions. So we have no bench, basically, one guy on the bench. So it's pretty easy, Sully says, to make a lineup. And, you know, the guys who are playing, for the most part, you don't have to worry about anybody, you know, coming up behind you. So you could play pretty easy. And I've said in our podcast when it was pretty much assured that they were going to make a regional, which was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, that they had enough SEC wins pretty much. I said, listen, man, from this point forward, anything else is just gravy. With a season like this, in which you have these type of injuries, technically right now, Florida is playing without, if you were to tell Sully to put in his lineup 1 through 9, he's missing his 1 through 4 right now. Because Kyle Jones, the center fielder, was the leadoff guy. Cade Curlin was second. Kobe Shelton was hitting third. And Luke Heyman was hitting cleanup. So that's your 1 through 4. So when you have a season like that, everything else is gravy. And I think that's how they're playing it right now. And they're winning pretty much the pitching. The pitching is what has carried this team the last 3 or 4 weekends. And then the big move that Sully made, and with this, I'll just go ahead and kick it back to you. The big move that Sully made was putting Jay Clemente in from the starting rotation. He started off the season as the Sunday starter, putting him from the starting rotation into the bullpen to be the closer. That was the kind of move that solidified everything. If you know about Florida's history, and especially Sully, his best teams have come when he has that lockdown closer at the end of the game, which not only gives him 1 inning, but he'll use him for 6 outs. He'll even use him for 9 outs. Michael Byrne was one of the first ones who did that back in the early teens. And then, of course, the last couple of years, Brandon Neely did that, in which he brought in Brandon Neely last year at Oklahoma State. He brought Neely in the 4th inning to finish off that regional game. So putting Jay Clemente in the closer role kind of solidified the entire team, solidified the pitching staff, because before that, the guy who broke camp as the closer had blown about 2 or 3 ninth inning leads, man. And that's very devastating. He blew one to Florida State. He blew one to Ole Miss. And he blew one other one. So he blew about 3 ninth inning leads. And that's when Sully decided to make that move. And that's been the best thing, not only for Jay Clemente, but for the team also, man. Really has solidified the team and allowed them to go on that little late season run in which they won the last 6 SEC series in a row and almost were in regional hosting. If they had won the Ole Miss game in the SEC tourney, they probably end up being a host instead of Ole Miss. So, to end up there where this season has started and has been, it's a pretty remarkable job by Sully. I've said that if there ever is a coach of the year type of season that Sully has had, this is it. And when I look real quick, I think for kind of different reasons, the same can be said, maybe you would agree or not, with your guy, Cliff Godwin, right? This has been kind of a rebuilding season for him also, compared to where you guys have been. And you lose a stud like Yasevich. You lose a guy like Zach Root, who probably would have been getting ready to pitch tomorrow, right, against Florida. I think he would have been you guys' ace. And you lose a whole bunch of position players, and yet he finds a way to get into the tournament. He finds a way to go on that late season run, win that tournament, and get into a regional. So these are the types of seasons, right, that I think these coaches really should be recognized as like coach of the year type of candidates. Not when they got all of their studs ready and they got, 2 or 3 major league arms in their rotation. Anybody could win there, right?
When they've got to pivot.
Exactly, man. So both of these coaches, I think, have done some of their best jobs this season, dude. So I'm kind of looking forward to it tomorrow, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I want to ask you this real quick, Adrian, because I know, Florida's obviously had their fair share of the injuries and having to deal with that the entire season. But just the gauntlet of the SEC by itself, right? Just that conference on its own. How do you think going through that conference, having to go through that gauntlet in conference play has prepared Florida for this regional?
Yeah, the SEC gets a lot of a lot of crap thrown at them sometimes from being, cocky fans and cocky teams and cocky coaches, and the whole slogan, "It just means more," and all that. But in the SEC, especially the players, the coaches feel that way, kind of, that when they get out of the tournament, the SEC tournament, it's kind of almost like a relief to go to a regional and play other teams than SEC teams, right? Because everybody, guys, when you're in the SEC and you can look at the bullpens, man, I mean, a lot of teams have one guy that might come out there throwing 95, 96, 97. SEC has about 5 or 6 guys in every bullpen that throws 95, 96, 97. So everybody coming out of the bullpen. LSU the other day had 2 guys come out of the bullpen throwing 100. So you see a lot of that. So yeah, going through the SEC gauntlet, very rarely do you have a season in which you have a Missouri that almost went winless. Very rarely do you have that. So teams that had Missouri on their schedule this season kind of had a little bit of a break, and then still, even Missouri came up and ruined Texas A&M season. Right? They swept Texas A&M when it looked like Texas A&M was about to make a regional. Right? All they had to do was maybe win 1 or 2 games against a winless Missouri team, and in comes Missouri into Texas A&M, into their house, and they swept them. So you can never, ever, ever take a weekend off in the SEC. Everyone, I mean, the rotations are getting pretty ridiculous now, and the portal has a lot to do with it, right? In the old days, Zach Root would have stayed at East Carolina. Instead, he's Arkansas's Friday guy, right? And now Arkansas's Friday guy that would have been their Friday guy now is their Saturday guy. So the portal has kind of made it where these schools are just reloading every year. They're going into the mid-majors, and they're bringing in, top-notch pitchers from all these mid-majors, and it's just making the league that much difficult. 1 through 16. And you used to be able to take a break like on Sundays, right? It used to be that like on a SEC Sunday, the scores would be, 13 to 12, 13 to 10, something like that. But you don't see that much no more. Teams pretty much have a Friday through Sunday staff now that is pretty solid. And a lot of it has to do with the portal and unfortunately situations like what happened to you all with Zach Root. So yeah, definitely, man. Going through the SEC gauntlet really does prepare guys, for these types of regional matchups. You look at a team like Coastal, they got a couple of guys there that throw into the mid 90s, upper 90s, right? And Morrison and Fluky from what I've seen. So those are SEC type of arms. So they should be used to that. And I'll be honest with you, what worries a lot of Gator fans is you guys' guy tomorrow. That's what worries a lot of Gator fans. If you know anything about Florida baseball, we have a history of having trouble against, quote unquote, crafty lefties, that aren't necessarily bringing it up there at 96, 97, in the 90, 91 range, well-located fastballs, good changeup, sliders in the dirt. Man, that has eaten up Florida hitters the last 15 years that I could think of. So that's what worries Gator fans, okay? Even though we might not say it, we might not show it, I'm here to tell you that's what worries Gator fans. A guy like Ethan Norby, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like Cliff Godwin, you were talking about Sully earlier, being able to turn to a guy and hey, it's kind of by committee. Whatever you got, we're going to go with our best guy when we need to win a ball game. And that's Cliff Godwin, right? We saw it when we saw it last week in the conference tournament. I mean, Ethan Norby starts. He comes in relief. There was a couple innings in relief, 5 innings in relief. He got the save. I guess, or the win in the semifinal game. So coming in just whenever Cliff Godwin needs him, and he's always ready. And you may look at, his innings aren't the highest at times. it's by design, right? So that way, if he's needed to pitch later on in the weekend, they're gonna bring him, and so that's just kind of like, and man, you want to talk about a baller? Ethan Norby is, and just like his brother, who I don't know,
Yeah.
a Florida Gators fan. I don't know, or would
He's
you
the
be?
Marlins third baseman, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know if you're a Marlins fan, Rays fan, Braves fan. My guess would
Marlins, Yankees.
That checks out. That down there in Florida.
New Yorker, raised in South Florida, so I got a little bit of both in me.
Okay.
Gotcha. But yeah, no, Connor Norby, ECU alum, his brother Ethan Norby. Just an all-out stud, and he gets fired up. Don't let that man get a big strikeout in a big moment, because he's gonna amp the team up. Wanted to just kind of touch base, like this weekend, like the regional. I feel like you've given us everything, all the questions that I was going to ask. Like I feel like you've already answered a lot of them. Talk to me a little bit about what ECU can expect to see. Look, the Bats have had struggles at times this year getting timely hitting, but this past weekend it seemed like they started to figure things out. Tomorrow, going up against Liam Peterson. Talk to me about this guy. It seems like he's a real stud. What can ECU expect?
Yeah. Real quick, before I get to Liam, this morning I went ahead and got on the old YouTube, right? And I put on the ECU Coastal Carolina game, March 7th. I'm sure you're very familiar with that game.
I saw the tweets.
Yeah, and that's the kind of game, like it's a reverse, right? Like when a football coach, when their team lays an egg, they say how they burn the film and they don't even watch it, right? Just burn it and just move on, right? Well, that's kind of like the same way with that Ethan Norby game, right? If I'm Sully, I'm not showing that game to my hitters, right? Are you showing it? I'm not showing it to him, man. No way, because he was aces. He was nails that game. 19 strikeouts. I think if I remember correctly, first 9 hitters all went down striking out. So, a couple of those, he had a little bit of a strike zone in which he got a couple of good calls. But hey, if you're going to get 19 strikeouts, you got to get a couple calls here and there. But for the most part, he was on point, and you could see how he was in a groove. He was in a rhythm. And one of the things that sometimes gets to some of our hitters is a fast working pitcher. And I noticed that right off the bat. And I know that these coaches watch film also. So they're addressing that, I'm sure, with the hitters, because we have a couple, 2 or 3 hitters that like to get comfortable at the plate. You know those types, right? They like to get comfortable, get up there, make sure that they're nice and loose and get the bat all ready, and then, turn towards the pitcher. But when they turn towards the pitcher, they still got a couple more gyrations in them still, right? Well, if they do a couple of those gyrations, that fastball's going to come right past them with Norby, because as soon as the head turns, he's halfway through his delivery. And he has that quick little jab step. So that's a quick windup, man. So that's going to be something that is going to be an issue tomorrow. Mark it down. Mark it down.
That's something that you'll see several ECU pitchers do. We saw it. I want to say it was in the semifinal game, maybe. It's all running together, but Ethan Young likes to do it. Jake Hunter likes to do it. Once they get the ball back, they're on the mound ready to go. They're ready. Once you step in the box, they're going through their windup. And pitch comm has definitely helped with that, right? Like you're getting the signals in so much quicker. But now they're like, okay, I know what I'm doing. All right, let's just go execute. And it's a lot of, hey, let's not let somebody get comfortable. And they'll stare a batter down until they get in the box. They'll peek over the glove until a batter gets in the box. And once they're in the box, it's showtime.
Exactly, man. Well, that's going to be the little game within the game that's going to be good to watch tomorrow. Watch. I guarantee you it's going to come up. Sully and our hitting coach Geralman. They'll be barking at the umpire. They'll probably come out, tell him slow him down, put the hand up, all that. Watch. Go
Cliff Godwin is one of the masters at if he needs to slow a pitcher down, try to get him out of a rhythm.
Right? Yeah.
There's a reason he's gotten calls from Alabama and Mississippi State and Ole Miss to look at jobs down in SEC country, but I mean he's ours.
That's what I've heard. Okay, so back to Liam Peterson, man. Liam Peterson, heck of a pitcher, a heck of just raw talent. It was a little surprising when he made it to campus. There was touch and go there for a little while that he might be going pro and stuff like that, but I guess his price was a little too high. No one met it, and he made it to campus, so we were happy for it, man. Last year was his true freshman year, right? And he had some bumpy roads. He especially in the postseason. He had a rough postseason. He had a rough regionals. He had a rough Omaha. But I said it at the end of last year. Don't waste that, right? Don't waste that experience. Don't waste that. I mean, I was in Omaha watching him not be able to throw a strike against Texas A&M. I mean, literally, he could not throw a strike. And that ended up being the game that bounced us. But don't waste that, right? Come into this season, take that with you, use that as a learning experience, and build off of that. And for the most part, he has. Now, the thing with him and the thing with the rest of our staff, I mean, literally almost every pitcher on our staff, every now and then, they just can't throw a strike. They just have the darndest time throwing a strike. And it could happen from inning to inning, from game to game, sometimes from batter to batter, where they will just lose it. And it's happened to just about every pitcher on our staff. Okay, so that's the one thing that always concerns every Gator fan, if they're being honest with you. Is this going to be, at any moment now, is my guy here going to lose it? And honestly, when you look at the stuff that they have going up against, the teams that they're going to be going up against, if they're on point and they're not issuing free passes, it's going to be tough to get runs off them, right? It's going to be tough to score off them. You're going to need a little bit of help. And our defense has also helped out lately. Unfortunately, all these injuries that we've talked about have kind of caught up more on our defense, because we've had to play a lot of guys out of position. And there was and this Colby Shelton injury has really caused a big shuffle. I mean, you lose your starting shortstop, right? We ended up having to move the third baseman to shortstop and then have the first baseman go to third. And that didn't work out for a couple of weeks. There was a lot of errors on that left side. So we had to make another change. I think the change that Sully has made now, putting Landon Stripling at third base and putting Brendan Lawson back at first, who's a true freshman, has been the right move to settle down the defense. It would have been settled down even more if Colby had come back this weekend. But like I just told you, I don't plan on that. But back to Liam, man. Liam's going to get you 95, 90. He'll live 95, 97. Top off at around 98 when he really wants to get a swing and miss on his fastball. He'll pump it up to 98. He's got a changeup, and he's got a slider, and he's got an overhand curveball, like a good old-fashioned 12-6. Sometimes he doesn't throw it as much as his biting slider. But the whole thing with him is to pitch ahead in the count. If he pitches ahead in the count, that's what makes him so devastating. I said it on our podcast this week when there was some speculation what Sully might do, if he might throw off and have Liam saved up for Saturday, put Aiden King in for the Friday start. And I said it on our podcast. Look, first of all, Sully doesn't do that much. He's only done that like once or twice. The one time that I really remember was about 3 years ago when he pitched Jack Caglione. he pitched them on Friday, and then our Friday starter, he used them for Saturday. But that was at home, and it was a 1 versus 4. Okay, much different story here. This is on the road, and it's a 2 versus 3, and your 3 seed has some pedigree to it, right? It's not no team making their first appearance in the NCAA regional. Okay, so I said there's no chance of that happening. Peterson's going to get the rock on Friday, but that's why you put up with the growing pains last year, right? To have Liam Peterson come in this year as your ace, and you hand him the ball and say Friday at noon, right, against East Carolina, on let's face it, guys, what's probably going to be what? At best, a half-empty stadium, at best.
I don't know, man.
No? You think you guys traveling?
We're not
Oh,
that
yeah.
we're not
ECU
that
Nation?
far from Myrtle. Yeah, that's,
I mean,
What's the
it's
distance? What's the distance?
what is it, about 3
about
hours?
3.5, 3.5 hours.
And if there's one thing
bad.
ECU fans do, is they travel.
Yeah, okay.
They ECU, you can go to the ends of the world, and you'll have ECU fans there.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's a full stadium, but we'll definitely travel.
I love you all's home stadium when because I've seen like the regionals there and stuff where they have all the outfield fence full of people and they're like on the fence banging
It's
on it.
wild.
That is crazy, man.
It's
But
an electric atmosphere.
Yeah, it looks nuts. It looks crazy.
It's not the 15,000 or whatever you're getting at some SEC parks, but it
You can feel it.
when you get in that regional. I guess what was that 2022 against Texas?
Yeah.
That, I mean, the atmosphere in that place was absolutely electric.
Yeah, it looks it on television, man. You can feel it.
Yeah.
You guys have been hosting pretty regularly there for the last 10 years or so, right? If I remember correctly, no?
Yeah, I mean, we've
Fairly regularly, right?
pretty regularly. Yeah, I mean, we've had a couple where we don't. We hosted last year, and then hosted, I guess, 2 years ago, 2023. I don't think we hosted. I'm digging down deep in my memory bank. It all runs together at this point.
Okay. Well, my apologies then to ECU Nation, to Pirate Nation. Okay, because
they'll be there.
Because I'm going off of my recollection of the regionals in Gainesville, right? When Florida's the 1 seed here, right? And I always go to all the games. I get the regional pass, so you go to all of the games. And I tell you, man, that 2-3 game is usually empty. You have the parents there, right, from like both teams, but that's about it. So I was envisioning that type of atmosphere. Okay, but regardless, this is why you give Liam Peterson the rock on a Friday, right? You say, here you go, give us 6 to 7, okay, and then we'll backtrack it if we need to with Jake Clemente and get us into the winner's bracket. That's why you have that hoss on a Friday. And he's next year, he's supposed to be the number 1 pitcher in the nation. So this is where he's got to, start showing it. Like I said, and that's wrong, he has shown it, but in postseason, it's always a different story, man. Postseason, that's always where the cream's got to rise to the top, and where you separate the men from the boys up here. Also, mentally, that's where some of the big struggles are, especially in baseball. It's such a hard sport. I mean, pitching and hitting ain't easy, right? So the mental game of it sometimes is 90% of it. So that's what Sully's expecting. That's what, the Gator fans are expecting for Liam to go out there tomorrow and give us 6, hopefully 7 innings, and as long as he could control the free passes. And remember I said that as long as he controls the free passes, he'll be all right. If he starts, walking the leadoff hitter and stuff like that, that's when stuff could get dicey, especially with ECU, right? Explain to me. ECU does a lot of small ball, right? Hitting and run, bunting, stuff like that, right?
Cliff Godwin loves his bunting, and this is a team. I mean, they don't hit a bunch of home runs, but they're a team that they're they're going to get their doubles. I mean, Riley Johnson has, I think, 2 or 3 triples on the year. Like, you've got these guys that there's a lot of speed up there. You've got potential, but then you have guys that anybody can hit the long ball, but it's doing it consistently, right? And you don't have guys that are going to go up and put up 20 home runs on the year, but they have guys. Dixon Williams is the one most notable to kind of come up there and put a charge into one. But I feel like we have a good feel on ECU Florida tomorrow. Let's dive in. If you want us to hang out, feel free to. We can talk a little bit about Coastal and then Fairfield. One to look. We played Coastal. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the year. We took 1 of 2. I mean, of course, the one we took was the one where we had 19 Ks, or 1 of 3. The one we took was 19 Ks from Ethan Norby. Look, correct. Coastal. It seems like where they are successful is on the mound. Yeah, they can hit, but I mean a 288 batting average with 442 slugging. It's not a world beater by any means. Especially, I mean, you've got some good teams in the Sun Belt, but it's not something that is really noteworthy. They're the 13 national seed. They went 26-4 in the Sun Belt Conference this year.
Correct.
Which is I mean, ECU's had a year like that before, but it's man to go 47-11 and 20. I don't care what conference you're in. That's a lot.
Coastal, yeah, they put up a good record. What struck me about them is their home run totals, man. They only got, I think I saw 55 home runs in that ballpark. You guys know the measurements of that ballpark, right? The dimensions.
Yeah.
I think I've heard 308 to left, and I've heard 320.
Yeah, 308 to left, and then I think it's 323. But yeah, small ballpark.
So 308 to left?
Yes. Yep.
And 323 to right?
I'm pretty sure it's 323 to right. Yep.
And then center field, what, 390?
Center field is 400 straight.
Okay, it is 400 straight.
The deepest part of center is 400, but dead center is 390.
Oh, so it's like a little offset there, kind of?
Yeah.
Okay. All I know is that Coastal has always been known for being an offensive juggernaut, like putting up some massive offensive numbers. And it's always been one of the reasons, right, has always been given is because of the park. We got a school like that in the SEC called Tennessee. You familiar with Tennessee Volunteers?
Oh, yeah.
That fan base, man. We'll trade you. Anybody you want, we'll send you Tennessee. But listen, their ballpark is tiny. It's like 315, 320-ish to the lines, and they lie about that. It's probably like 310. And then center field is like 380, and they put up their 390. They lie about that too. But it is a tiny ballpark. So they get all upset when you tell them that all their offensive numbers are because of their ballpark, you know. But then they go on to Omaha and win the national championship. So now you can't say anything anymore because they won the Natty, right? But so that's what struck me about Coastal, though, was their offensive numbers. You know, man, they don't hit the long ball. 55-something home runs in that ballpark is nothing. So they are winning this year totally different to how they've won always in the past, right? It's been always offense, and pitching has been kind of like their weak spot. And then this season is the exact opposite, right? You got 3 hosses, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that can match up with anybody. Have they announced yet who they're throwing in game 1?
I don't know that I've seen it.
I haven't seen it, and I asked Chris, and he says that he hasn't seen it either. I was curious. Who do you guys think that they'll go in game 1 with, Morrison or with Flukie?
My guess is, see, that's the thing when you're in the 1 seed, kind of like what we were talking about earlier, right? Like when you're in the 1 seed, it kind of it can be tempting to go with your Saturday or even sometimes your Sunday guy, right? Like,
Very tempting.
I mean, I think the second longest odds to win the College World Series is Fairfield. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Fluky or even like a Riley Eichhoff.
That'll be something else. If they go Eichhoff, that would even surprise me, I think, a little bit.
But here's the thing with that matchup. While Fairfield, I mean, they have, and I'm kind of jumping the gun here. Fairfield has, from my look, I'm not very familiar with the Fairfield Stags. I'll be very honest with that.
Yeah.
But in my reading over the past 4 days, what I found is, hey, I believe they're 31st in the country in runs per game. So they put up a lot of runs. They've hit 67 home runs this year, which decent numbers, right? But like their pitching is soft, right? So maybe it is something where you're looking, okay, maybe we go Fluky so that way we can throw a Morrison against a Florida or an East Carolina on Saturday if we win that game.
Yeah, I went ahead and predicted on our podcast that we did on Tuesday that they'll throw Fluky Friday. You know, it sounds good too, right? A Fluky Friday. If I was a Carolina fan, I'll make shirts, man. Fluky Friday, make shirts and sell it next year because Morrison's probably gone. I would think he's gone. No? I don't know if he's draft eligible. But I thought that they'll go with Fluky on Friday and then save Morrison for the Saturday game. I mean, that 1-0 game, you guys know that. You are new to regional play. That 1-0 game is so big, man. And but it's always a risk. It's always a risk when you throw off. I just read before I came on here now with you that Mississippi State was going to throw off. They're a Friday guy. Pico, real nasty lefty, man. I mean, reminds me a little bit of Norby, but throws like 95, 96, you know. 95, 96, has the changeup, the nasty slider, has a little two-seam runner, nasty. Watch him pitch. They just announced that he's going to be pitching on Saturday. So they're throwing off, and their 2 is Northeastern. Northeastern is like a dark horse to win the darn thing, okay? I mean, as a 2 seed, and they're a 3 seed. Mississippi State is the 3 seed, and they're throwing off against the 2 seed. That's pretty gutsy, man. That's pretty gutsy, man. If it pays off, you look like a genius. But if it don't, man, and you're in that losers bracket, oh well. Now your ace is throwing to save your season, basically, you know. So we'll see. But the thing also is that Morrison and Fluky, you guys have seen them both pitch, right? Are they kind of like the same pitcher? Because if I just look at the numbers here, I see them both as right-hand pitchers, both 6'6", 168. You know, both throw it in the mid-90s, right? Is there any real difference between them? Morrison has a little bit of better numbers, obviously. ERA jumps out to you about a run better, but the batting average against is not much difference. So do you guys see like much of a difference there? Because I really haven't seen either pitch much, to be honest with you.
Man, that's going way back. But if I remember right, that game that Connor Norby game, that Friday night game, that was Morrison. ECU won 7-0 that night. I'm trying to.
Morrison didn't pitch that game. He was
Oh yeah.
The announcers on that game were saying that Morrison was coming off a little injury, and he pitched. He pitched in the Sunday game. He came in for 1 inning, and you guys touched him up for 3 hits and 1 run in 1 inning.
That was Luke Jones that they had.
I guess he's like what they're like midweek guy or something. Maybe?
That's my guess. Yeah, they threw the midweek guy on Friday. It was one of those. Hey, like, let's throw this guy out there, and this Norby kid's probably got some stuff that if we're going to lose one, we'll lose Friday, and we'll take the next 2.
Kind of like a sacrificial lamb type of thing.
Yeah, you see it a lot on Sunday, right? But that's kind of what it felt like on Friday. Yeah, I haven't seen much. Honestly, I haven't watched much other outside of those games. So, but yeah, like you said, the numbers all kind of line up. Like their stat lines all kind of look the same.
Yeah, little bit. Um, the the way that I saw Coastal play, um, I I compare their game to you guys very favorably. You guys think that you guys play the same type of ball? You guys in
Yeah,
Coastal? Because
at least this year,
this year, yeah,
it feels that way.
it,
Um,
it definitely looked like it. And when I compare it to the SEC, Kentucky plays that type of baseball that you guys and Coastal have been playing this season, right? That it's fundamental baseball, but it's more than just fundamentals, right? It's like doing all of the little things right, taking the extra bases, right, going first to third on a base hit, sacrifice, sack running, from second to third on the fly ball to right field, stuff like that. The little things. It looks like you guys do bunting, sacrificing, right? Getting down all those bunts, moving runners over with less than 2 outs from second, stuff like that. Getting runners in from third with 1 out.
at times it can feel like little league ball. You'll see the guys do the fake bunt and pull it back that you used to see in little league all the time.
The slash.
Yeah, and it's not even a slash. It's hey, I'm going to show bunt, and as the pitcher's in his windup, I'm going to pull it back to get ready to hit. And it's not something I love to see, but it works. It can throw a pitcher's timing off, kind of like what we were talking about earlier. But yeah, it's station to station baseball. Get it done, and if we score more than you do, we win.
Well, yeah, and when you don't have the home run numbers, that better be the type of baseball you're good at, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have guys that can consistently hit the long ball, how the heck else are you going to score runs, right? You better have guys that could play that type of baseball. And as a head coach, you got to know that. And if this is the team that I have, then you got to coach to that. One of the things that concerns me a little bit, it got me excited when I saw the regionals and I saw that we were going to Coastal because I had some background about the field. But then the more I thought about it is that our guys, you got to be careful that they don't see that fence and start wanting to just jack home runs left and right. Because against Norby, if they're not thinking backside, he's going to have a heck of a game on us, okay? If our guys start thinking about yanking everything and wanting to take advantage of that 308 left field fence, okay, and not thinking backside with Norby, trying to take that slider to right center field, just play pepper off that right center field wall, they're going to get themselves in a lot of trouble. And that's where you're going to see. Mark that down. If they start yanking and you see them yanking away, and we got a couple guys that get excited, they love to see that long ball. They played with Jack Caglione last year, So Jack Caglione hit it 500 yards, man. They're like, I can hit it 500 yards, coach. Yeah. Watch me do it. No, you can't. No, you can't. You're flying open. So watch. If you see that tomorrow against Norby, he could dice them up for a few innings. And I'll give him the first couple of innings, right? The first 2 or 3 innings. But if they don't start making adjustments by the second time through the lineup, okay, it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long day. Hopefully Liam's on point because then it's going to probably go all the way to the 6th or 7th inning. And then it's going to be turned over to the bullpens real tight, hopefully.
Yeah.
So that's how I see that.
I don't want any tight baseball games. Let me be a little bit relaxed. The second or the mid-afternoon. But I feel like we got a good feeling of the Conway Regional. I mean, it's going to be – there's a lot of good pitching. Seems like there's a lot of timely hitting in this regional. It feels like it's true baseball, right? Sometimes you get in these regionals, kind of like what you said, and these guys are just wanting to go out and hit the long ball. This feels like you got a good mix of quality pitching, quality fielding, and quality hitting. it'll definitely be one of the more interesting regionals, I think. And you talked about Auburn, Auburn on the other side.
Yeah.
If East Carolina gets through, don't get me wrong. We can make a trip down to Auburn, but I wouldn't mind the Wolf Puppies winning that one, so we can get a lick back
That's what you really
next weekend.
I actually picked NC State in our podcast. I picked the upset over there. I love that head coach over there. I like that guy a lot. I like him as a
That
head
makes
coach.
one of us.
It's okay.
I'm kidding.
It's a rivalry.
No, he's not
Probably,
kidding.
right? But I've always had a soft spot. I've always had a soft spot for NC State ever since they got hosed in Omaha. Remember that about 4 years ago?
One of our most listened to clips was me saying, I wish that I could have watched it on national television so I could have watched them and their fan base cry.
Man, that's an in-state rivalry, okay? I understand that mentality. It would be the same with me if it was Florida State, trust me.
Yeah.
But as a real outsider, I felt really bad for them because they had a good team that year, man. And one guy got COVID or something, and they were out. Just like that. Season over. Imagine if you were on that team, man. All the sweat.
They got hosed, and we don't care.
I love it. I love it.
You know what this is? The world's smallest violin.
Well,
I don't give a
I
don't give
about
a
that.
crap.
So
NC
okay,
State.
so East Carolina, you got in-state. Who you got? It's South Carolina.
So East Carolina. So you got NC State, Carolina, Chapel Hill, Wake Forest. I mean,
so like you consider the North Carolina schools and the South Carolina schools all rivals?
No, I mean all those schools are in North Carolina.
Okay, so ECU's in North Carolina?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. I thought it was in South Carolina.
There's a Greenville, South Carolina. We're the Greenville, North Carolina.
Right. The Greenville, South Carolina is the more famous of the two, to be honest with you.
Okay.
That does confuse a lot of people.
I just embarrassed myself with geography. I blame my teacher, man, my elementary teacher, Mrs. Lewis. That's
I can just about assure you that they're not talking about Greenville, North Carolina in your geography class in elementary school.
They're not.
No doubt, man. Hey, listen, question for you guys. I know that Florida last year came out of the Oklahoma State region out of the losers bracket. Man, I just don't see that with how our pitching staff is right now with all the injuries that I've told you about. I mean, we got not only have we lost all of our left-handed bullpen arms, we lost 2 right-handed arms also. And before the season, we lost 2 stud freshmen to Tommy John, right? Mm-hmm. So our bullpen, it's been a hodgepodge of, 2 arms that Sully has confidence in. And then the other 5 arms that he's used, it's just a crapshoot. Towards the end of the season, he would bring a guy in, and if he threw 2 balls, just 2 balls, if the first batter went 2-0, he would go yank him. That's it. He would give him 2 pitches because his patience had just worn thin already, man. He had enough. These guys just weren't throwing strikes. I'm telling you, the entire staff has issues sometimes where they just can't throw strikes. I've said maybe it could be the pitching coach. I've said maybe the pitching coach needs to be looked at the end of the year, but I backtracked from that because of all the injuries. I don't want to seem too heartless, right? Too unreasonable. But to my original point, I don't see Florida coming out of the losers bracket in any region. So if they are to win this regional, it's got to be 3-0. How do you see East Carolina if they were to fall in the losers bracket?
I honestly think that's how it is for any of the teams.
Yeah.
Like in this regional, you look at ECU, they're a young team. They've got depth, but they're just so young, right? Dealing with that kind of adversity, they're not battle tested there yet. Florida, I think if they get there, like to have to go back and then beat an ECU or a Coastal twice, it is going to be tough. and same goes for Coastal. Being able to, I mean, you look at the ECU Coastal series. You had the Friday night game, 7-0, 19 strikeouts. We've already talked about that. ECU gets blown out on Saturday 9-1, and then Sunday goes 10 innings, and it's a 4-3 loss for East Carolina.
Correct.
So it wasn't like it wasn't a close series. It was a very tight series down to the wire. So yeah, I mean it's something that I think you have I think the team that goes 2-0 wins the whole damn thing.
It's a series that'll ride a lot of momentum, to be completely honest with you, because any team in the series can win it. So
yeah, I agree there, man. Yeah. That 2-0, to get to that 2-0 is going to be the key. One thing that we haven't talked about is the weather. A little bit shaky for tomorrow.
True.
What are you guys hearing on your end? Because you're a lot closer there.
It's been shaky all week.
It's been ugly here.
It's just been raining nonstop.
Yeah.
I'll say, like, here's the thing about ECU and regionals. Anytime we're in a regional, there's going to be a rain delay.
Same with
We're happy to play that early game. I know Coastal wants the late game. You'll find ECU often takes the early game on Friday in the regional, as if they're the host. They'll take that early game, so that way if there's anything with rain, they don't have to worry about playing late into the night or restarting the game or picking back up the next day. So ECU's very happy to play in that early game, rather than having to sit around and wait till 6 o'clock and let the storms roll in. During the day, it's been pretty nice, but like at night, the last 3-4 nights, it's just constant downpour. Starting around 7 o'clock.
Wow. Well, hopefully that is what plays out tomorrow. And
would love that.
There's no delays. The last couple of weeks of the season, and it happened always on Liam's starts, he got affected by weather. His last, I think, 2 to 3 starts were either abbreviated. One start, I want to say it was against South Carolina. He came in on Friday. Yeah, it was against South Carolina. And that's the one in which they started the game, and 5 pitches in, they called it. 5 pitches in. So he warmed up. He threw 5 pitches, and they stopped the game. And they didn't resume it until 2 hours and a half later. So he was burned for that day. Sully brought him back on Sunday, but he wasn't very effective. And then the following week, on his start the following week, it affected him because now he was going on only 5 days rest, and his velo was down. His velo was down 92, 93, topped at 94. And as soon as I saw that in the first inning, I texted Chris from the stadium, man, his velo is off. That last week little rain delay and short rest has killed him. Well, he got it back his following start, but he had about 2 or 3 starts there where he was affected by the weather, and it got to him. It really did get to him. So hopefully tomorrow won't be that case. How would Godwin play that if there's a rain delay? Does he not play around with that? Does he give it like about 40 minutes and then that's it? You're burned and he'll go to the bullpen? Because there's some coaches in the SEC that they'll bring the starter right back out, man. But Sully doesn't do that. So
it's really based on Phil. Norby's a gamer, and he'd probably want the ball.
Yeah, most of them do. Most of them do.
But Adrian, we appreciate it so much. Thank you, especially on short notice coming on. We really appreciate it. Best of luck to y'all this weekend.
Fun,
go ahead and plug where our listeners can find y'all's content.
Yeah, man. Gator Diamond Pod. It's on the old X machine there, Gator Diamond Pod. And then you could go to Apple, Spotify, follow us podcast. If you go to it now, you can listen to our podcast where we talked extensively about ECU from our perspective, right? We went into ECU kind of like what we did today, me and Chris. And just give us a follow, give it a listen. And if you want don't hesitate to give us a call if you want to discuss next week or something the outcome of the Conway Regional. Hopefully, it's one of us going on and not them Chanticleer. What the heck's a Chanticleer anyways, man?
Them damn beach chickens.
Yeah, we asked that too. Something to try and eat.
It's a rooster. It's a rooster.
It's a rooster. We got some payback, man, because that they beat us in 2016 in Omaha. So we have a little payback. So hopefully we could get to where we could deliver some of that payback to Coastal Carolina. So, but anyways, man, we're looking forward to a good game tomorrow. Hopefully the weather holds up and be a good ball game, man. Good luck to you all too, man.
Awesome. Thank you. Best of luck to y'all after tomorrow. That's what I always say.
You got it. No problem with that. Take care, guys.
Thanks, Adrian.
You bet.
Once again, Adrian Perez, Gator Diamond Pod. Artie, I feel like we got the Conway Regional well covered, man.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I mean, extensive coverage of it. We talked about it in detail. That was pretty good. So
awesome. Well, we've already kind of gone a little longer tonight than we were expecting. But real quick, just some quick news came out earlier. I believe earlier today, maybe yesterday. We've got some game time assignments for ECU football, along with some network assignments for the season. What is that? 7 games already announced game times, or 6 games already announced game times.
Are these the actual game times? Am I seeing a bunch of after 6 o'clock kicks?
Yeah, but you got to remember there's 4 Thursday nights there.
Yeah, okay, you're right. We do have that weird schedule. We're just playing Thursday and Friday, so yeah.
Kick the season. I don't know, Josh, if you could real quick, what other game is playing August 28th at 7 p.m.? How is that not like at least an ESPN2 game?
I'm thoroughly pissed off though that game is on that Thursday for obvious reasons.
Oh yeah, that's Artie.
For
those of you that don't know, that's Artie's rehearsal dinner night.
Yeah.
Don't Artie, don't give me a look when I got the game going on under the table.
I'm gonna have the game on.
All right.
We're gonna be
as long as you and I are clear on this.
You and I will be watching it together. I know how to do a rehearsal.
I think
you guys are gonna be excited to hear what the 5:30 choice was for ESPN on the 28th of August.
What is it?
It's Boise State at South Florida for that one. That's their 5:30 kick. They don't have a 7 or even an 8, but they do have a 9 o'clock kick of Nebraska at Cincinnati on ESPN.
Ain't nobody want to watch Nebraska at Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, yeah.
And those are the only two.
These two teams threw hands last year.
Yeah. Those are the only 2 games that will be on ESPN that day.
Could we see this game get moved up to one of the national networks?
No.
I guess we're paying for ACC network, Artie.
Yeah.
We'll do it. We'll take it out of the Boneyard podcast budget.
Exactly. We'll get it for the little subscription we got to get it for and then cancel it. So
yeah, cancel that shit immediately after an ECU win. And then all right, September 6th, ECU at Campbell or versus Campbell, excuse me, at home opener, 6 p.m. ESPN Plus. I'm kind of surprised by this 7:30 kick on Saturday at Coastal Carolina. That's a rough one. I'm expecting to go to that one. Artie, you and I may be staying at Joanne and Elmer's place, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah. Yeah. If they'll have us, absolutely. Yes.
Give me some of that eggplant parmesan, please.
Yes. I don't need to have Kyle with me to go see Joanne and Elmer. Not at all.
Play a quick round of 18 on Sunday and then hit the road home.
Yes, that actually sounds kind of like a plan.
I'll be traveling that whole week leading up to that game, so we'll figure it out. I get back literally on Friday afternoon, and then we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just book a hotel for Myrtle Beach. Then the BYU game, that's still to be announced. Depending on how those first 2 games go, I wouldn't be surprised to see this game get put. Maybe not a like 8:00 kick, but I could see a mid-afternoon kick for that game. If ECU can pull one out at NC State, that one you can start playing around with some 3:00 kicks, 4:00 kicks, which is the most ideal.
Yeah.
Then here's a bunch of Thursday night games on September 25th. Army, ESPN, 7:30, and then on the road a couple weeks later at Tulane, another 7:30, 8:00 kick, and then we got Tulsa at home 2 weeks before Halloween, 7:30 ESPN. I don't mind the Thursday night games. I get it. It's fun for the fans. It's fun for the students. But those of us that have to drive 3 hours, it makes it tough, man.
Yeah.
But
I will say that BYU Army kind of back to back in that 5-day period, that's going to be rough.
That's bullshit that they gave us Army 5 days after BYU.
Yeah, that's kind of, we got the shaft on that.
It's just another. It's ESPN and the American Athletic Conference hate East Carolina.
That is the shaft. But all right.
And is Army coming off a bye?
That I don't know.
I don't know. I know Navy always is coming off a bye when they play us, so who knows? All right. That's really all we got. We got some gambling corner. I saw Brandon threw it in the group chat. Let's do tomorrow's game first, and then we'll do the future on the Conway Regional. ECU is plus 2.5. Florida's minus 290 to win money line. So after our conversation today, Artie, where's our head at?
This is a toss-up game, honestly. I mean, with what Florida has had injury-wise, 2 teams up and down, topsy-turvy. But you know what? Screw it. I'm riding a wave. Like I'm riding a wave at this point. I'm going ECU. All right. So yeah, give me East Carolina. What was you said? It was plus 2.5.
Yeah. So I mean, ECU wins. That's you cover there.
Yeah, you're obviously covering that. So.
Yeah, if ECU wants any shot, just like I said earlier, if whatever team wins this regional, I think has to win the first 2 games. You can't win the first 2 if you don't win the first one. I'm a ride. Don't let them get hot. Don't let these boys get hot. They're hot. I think I tweeted they're ablaze.
Yeah, you did.
You like that? Go damn Pirates. ECU to win. Something just feels magical. Now, ask me tomorrow around 4:00 how I feel, but something feels magical. Then, to win the Conway Regional, let's take a look at that. I believe right now Florida's minus 120. Coastal Carolina is minus 110. ECU's plus 1,000. And I'll be honest, even though I shouldn't have done this, I didn't even really pay attention to what Fairfield was. I saw the plus 1,000 and I started seeing dollar signs. Are you taking ECU plus 1,000 to win the Conway Regional?
No. Someone has to say no. Look, everybody else is going to ride the wave. I'm riding the wave for one game. I'm getting off the train. No, I'm joking, man. Look, I at this point, I'm not shocked by anything East Carolina does. At this point, I'm not shocked if they run the table, run the gauntlet in this regional, and go to a super. Wouldn't shock me one bit. But I will say, I do think at the end of the day, Coastal will win this regional. I do.
ECU's playing with house money right now, and
yeah, of course, yeah, I'm gonna put a little bit on that.
You know when you're playing with house money, Artie, it eventually runs out. But until it runs out, you bet that bitch. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I'd put money on that.
I'll put a solid.
That's a nice little profit.
I'll put a solid 15-20 on that.
I think, and I saw somebody in the group chat had a 30% profit boost. So
yeah, you put 15-20 on that, you're making a solid profit if they actually win it. So
yeah, never say never. All right, you got to walk the plank.
I do have to walk the plank, and I'm sorry, Jared. They wasted my time yesterday, man. I tuned in. I was watching the game, first period, I should say. They're up 2-0, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is going back to Miami. It's going back to Sunrise, Florida, whatever the hell the Panthers play. I don't know what the hell they play in Florida. And I'm like, okay, I'm proud of the Hurricanes. They're actually, doing in Raleigh, crowd going crazy, man. They're going freaking bananas in that first period yesterday. And then it's 3 goals scored in 4 minutes, 2 goals scored in 30 seconds. And I'm like, damn it. I already had to turn the Timberwolves Thunder game off because I was just a fucking no-show. And then I got to turn the Hurricanes Panthers game off halfway through the third because that's a no-show. So, yeah, the Timberwolves and the Hurricanes, y'all can both walk the damn plank. But more so the Hurricanes because I was really upset they lost yesterday.
Look, here. The Carolina Hurricanes have $30 million in cap space this offseason to do whatever the hell they want to with it. It was never about this year. I'm fine with it. It hurts. I slept fine last night. I woke up this morning. I didn't even think about it today. I'll say, and then all 3 teams that were still in or are still technically in now are like $8 to $12 million over the salary cap in the playoffs due to like long-term injury reserve and salary cap manipulation. The Hurricanes were actually $1 million under the salary cap. They were the only team that was salary cap compliant in like the final 6 teams. It sucks. Lots of money. You got a bunch of dead weight. Talking about you, Brent Burns, and you, Dmitry Orlov. And I'm talking about you, Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Get the hell out of here. Enjoy San Jose or Detroit or wherever the hell you end up, but you're not going to be in Carolina next year. So y'all can walk the plank out of here. I'll say rare Carolina Hurricanes social media L. Mm-hmm. And this is my walk the plank. I saw. I don't even know who lost. Was it the Timberwolves lost?
Timberwolves, yeah, they lost to the Thunder by 30.
And so after they lost, they tweeted, and then the Hurricanes replied. Like the handshake emoji, and they replied with like getting bounced in 5. That's an L. That's an L.
Yeah, no, that's an L.
That is a straight L.
Yeah. Don't sit here and glorify a gentleman's sweep.
No. I don't really have anything else. Oh, it's not really anything bad that makes me mad. I do have one. It's somebody had a blunder. So Alexander Ovechkin, the all-time leading goal scorer in the NHL.
I might have heard of him.
Next year is his last year on his contract. There's a lot of speculation about what he's going to do after his season next year. Is he going to re-sign? Is he going to go off to the KHL? Is he just going to retire? I mean, he's done everything that a guy can do in the NHL.
KHL.
And I don't know when it happened. It either happened this morning or yesterday at some point. But somebody from the Capitals like sales team emailed their clients saying, "Hey, make sure you secure your tickets for the last season or Alexander Ovechkin's last season."
I think it was very smart.
Yeah. Then the team had to put out a statement saying, "We don't know that if he there's no like news about what's going to happen after this season for Alexander Ovechkin's career."
Look, whoever that was trying to get people to sell out the season tickets.
Oh yeah.
right
Oh,
right
yeah.
after the season ended. That's it is Ovi's last season.
Technically you're not wrong, but also that's not the tweet you need to put out or not the email you need to send out to all your corporate clients. So I'm guessing somebody got fired.
Probably, yeah. But I see the vision, though. I see what they were trying to do.
I see the vision, but that's not something you can do.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So it's more of a funny walk the plank this week. Nothing crazy. All right. Artie, let's enjoy this regional. I will see you Saturday.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, let's get out of here. Make sure you follow us on social media at Boneyard Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at The Boneyard Podcast on TikTok. Subscribe to our YouTube. Hit that like button. And then leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcast, whether that's Spotify, Apple. I think we're on, I don't know. We're on all of them now. Google, Amazon, I think.
All the platforms. All things.
Go give us a listen, subscribe, and yeah. Leave us a 5-star review. If you don't do that, you can walk the damn plank. Artie, let's get out of here.
Hey, that's all we got for y'all. We appreciate y'all tuning in, staying in with us this long. As always, wash your hands, wash your butts. Go ECU. Let's win this regional. Deuce.
Go damn Pirates.